the January 9th edition of the Board of Lane County's regular meeting. Good morning to everyone. Lovely rain outside of us. Today we have a couple of formalities before we move into our direct agenda. First, Mr. Mokrajewski, do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
We do not.
All righty. Then we'll move directly into Commissioner's business. And anyone who's been looking at the agenda knows that 2A is a presentation of the gavel to the current board chair, Commissioner Pat Farr, by Vice Chair Lori Trieger.
There it is. And I will keep this brief to move us along. They say third time's a charm, but I guess in your case it's fourth. Fourth time being chair, and as the most senior member of this board, want to appreciate last year's service as chair. And also thank you for giving a really informative and inspiring message at the State of the County yesterday. So thank you, Chair Farr.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And during the address yesterday, during the message yesterday, I talked about the role of the board chair. And the board chair is the fifth vote if the fifth vote is needed or not. And so the board chair also carries the weight of 20% of the decision making of the Board of County Commissioners, presides over the agenda setting meetings, but does that alongside the vice chair of the board. And without a strong vice chair, without someone pointing to the clock when it's time to point to the clock, and without someone nudging and saying, hey, there's your script, it's difficult to be the chair. So Vice Chair Trieger, thank you for performing that wonderful role this year.
Thank you.
So we'll move along to item 2B, which is election of the chair. At this point, I will open nominations, and I will call on Commissioner Buck.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to nominate our current Vice Chair, Lori Trieger, for being the chair for 2024.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Vice Chair Trieger, nominated to be chair, moved by Commissioner Buck, seconded by Commissioner Lovell. Discussion to the motion. I am seeing no discussion. I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Vice Chair Trieger, my turn to give you a gavel. I'll move this. If I may, yes.
The old Alice in Wonderland clean cup. Move down. Are we at the tea party here?
For a moment, I'll sit here.
Vice Chair Farr has a nice ring to it.
That was once. Do I look younger? Because I feel about 10 years younger.
Your device, to your own devices. Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So, election for Vice Chair. I'd like to look to the board for nominations for Vice Chair. Commissioner Seneca.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Lovell for Vice Chair.
Second.
So, motion on the table, Commissioner Lovell for Vice Chair, seconded by Pat Farr, made by Commissioner Seneca. Do you accept the nomination, Commissioner Lovell?
I do.
Then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of Commissioner Lovell for Vice Chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 3-2. Welcome to the Vice Chair role. Moving through our agenda. Do we have any emergency business this morning?
We do not.
All right, then. It is time then for public comment. We have a few folks signed up in Harris Hall. If anybody wishes to make comment and didn't have a chance to sign up as yet, please see Devin in the back of the room. We will take public comment from folks in the room first, and then we will move to those online. Would you like to rearrange seating before we move forward?
Sure.
Good morning, welcome. Those giving public comment will come to the podium. Please state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak, and there'll be a timer on the wall, so please keep an eye on that so that you can keep to your time. We will take you in the order that you signed up. I don't think we have more than 10 folks, so we're fine on time this morning. And I will call first to the podium Heidi Ringus, and she will be followed by Noel Nash.
Good morning. My name is Heidi Ringus. Just wanted to read you that last piece from last week when I was reading from the Mortier findings. So,
Excuse me, Ms. Ringus, hang on just a moment while we get the clock in order.
Sure.
Apologies. Diana, would you like me to run a clock on my iPad? It looks like you're having some login challenges.
technology's not always making
Chair Trigger, I am. I'm having an authenticator issue. I will have it up in 1 moment.
All right, thank you. We'll just wait then.
Meanwhile, Vice Chair, I can keep, no, forget I said
2024 as well.
Just take this opportunity to mention that as frustrating as this can be, it's a sign that we have really great cybersecurity measures in place here at Lane County. So we'll just bear with us for the sake of. All right, looks like we're just about in business, and we are ready. Thank you, Ms. Ringus, for your patience. You may proceed.
Super duper. Okay, so this is it is a conversation between land management and Public Works in 2020. It's a County Planning Commission memo from 2020. Upon further research, the building code does not contain a comparable cumulative requirement. For example, if an existing dwelling that got permits and met the building code at the time it was built, then in addition to that dwelling would not trigger the entire structure to meet the current building code. The only the proposed addition would have to meet the current building code, i.e. the sprinkler system that we're trying to install. Further improvements could continue over time without triggering the application of the current building code to the existing structure, unless the existing structure was being modified in some way. In this case, this is the case because it would be onerous to have an existing structure meet the current building code when the structure is not being modified. And our structure is not being modified. We're simply trying to put in the sprinkler system that allows for the fourth story and 60 feet in height, and according to the code itself. And they want to play code, I've got the code that says his stuff is approved. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Noel Nash, followed by Sherilyn Borgen. Please correct when you come to the podium. Apologies. Thank you, Noel.
Good morning, Commissioners, and congratulations, Chair and Vice Chair. My name is Noel Nash. I'm a Lane County resident since 2019 and have been a local small business owner during that same time. This March will be the 5th year anniversary of my wife and I owning the Chronicle, a weekly newspaper that covers Springfield, Cresswell, Cottage Grove, and Pleasant Hill, nearly 90,000 residents who otherwise have no coverage of their lives, families, work, and passions. I've spent nearly 30 years in daily newspapers around the country, including working for the New York Times Company, the Pulitzer Company, and the Dallas Morning News. I spent 11 years at ESPN as a vice president overseeing the Stats and Information Group, managing all public-facing data across every platform globally. I replicated that business in London and Sao Paulo, Brazil for ESPN International. Throughout that time, I missed the grassroots experience of telling the news and stories of people in small and rural communities. Our North Star at the Chronicle is hyperlocal coverage. We are attempting to reinvent what a hyperlocal community newspaper can be. We cover your family, friends, and neighbors. We prioritize coverage of two things above all else. One, education. We cover 8 high schools in 4 districts. And 2, we cover the local nonprofits community, shining a light on volunteers and needs in the community. We are unabashed advocates for local businesses. Again, our mission is to bring credible, solution-oriented journalism that helps edify and unite a community. We are nonpartisan and do not endorse individual candidates of any party or persuasion. We are certified by the Oregon Newspaper Publishers Association and the U.S. Postal Service to publish legal notices. This requires a subscription-based newspaper, and we serve more than 30,000 readers a month in the southern Willamette Valley. We publish the legal notices in the weekly newspaper and online at publicnoticeoregon.com. I'm here to solicit your legal notices and advertising business. Our structure, workflow, and process differentiate us from all other newspaper outlets. Our prices further differentiate us from all competitors. You'd be saving the public significant dollars placing legal notices with the Chronicle. Your colleagues already are. Springfield Utility Board, Willamette District, and the cities of Springfield, Cresswell, and Cottage Grove all place legal ads exclusively in the Chronicle. If you have any questions, I'd encourage you to speak to anyone at those agencies who handle legal notices. One last thought. I'm on the board of the ONPA, on the board of directors for ONPA. We worked with the legislature last year to pass a bill that ensures legal notices must continue to be published in a printed paper. An online-only publication is not legally allowed to carry legal notices. Thank you for any consideration.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Nash. Next up, Sherilyn Bork. Say again? Borkerin, thank you. Come on up to the podium, say your name for the record, and then the timer will begin, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, congratulations to your new chairs. I'm here in behalf of Mobile Life Homes out by Seaview Loop Road, and we are asking for the opportunity to turn our homes into larger homes, not by some. It went before the Planning Committee as 55% increase, but we're asking it be changed to a top of 1,500 square feet for each home, because there's such a variety of homes from 400 square feet to 2,000, 3,000 square feet. So which those homes don't want to or need to expand. They don't have the lot size anyway. So we are asking that it be reworded so that people will be more agreeable in understanding what we're exactly wanting. We aren't trying to build McMansions out there. We just want homes that are more compatible to our lifestyles. And I know some people are saying that is an ecological downfall if we add on, but actually it's not, because these older homes have asbestos and formaldehyde and other poisons in them. If there were to be a flood or a fire or an earthquake and these homes fall apart, those poisons will be in the air and the water, where if they're replaced with new homes, they will have anchorage that will hold them to the ground, and they will have a lack of those poisons in them. And so we are asking that that be changed. And then we're also asking that if there is an environmental concern, we're welcoming anybody that wants to come out and help plant trees or replace native plants. Come on out. We're welcoming that. And as far as the wording in the land that the Land Planning Committee used is structures rather than dwellings. All of these places are dwellings. So we aren't really concerned about structures. And at the Planning Committee, some people had concerns that structures could mean it was too broad and it could include anything. So we would like to, emphasize that we're talking about people's homes, and adding some square feet is going to prevent people from moving in RVs, which they are now starting to use as the extra bedroom. So we don't want RVs. We want an addition square footage added to the mobile homes that are there. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next up is David Eigel, and then we'll move to online folks.
I'm David Eigel. In 2016, I became very interested in the proposed denaming of Dunn Hall after reading the U of O's Dunn report on the day it was issued. The report purported to portray the life of the late Professor Frederick Dunn and his relationship with the 1920s Klan. It was immediately clear to me that the report was seriously flawed. My subsequent extensive documented research revealed the report to be a cheap smear piece. It was not merely thoroughly incompetent and libelous. It also contained substantial evidence of the author's intentional misrepresentations of history, misrepresentations that were directed to defame and to degrade entire groups of people. My subsequent dealing with the U of O and other government and educational officials revealed the willful, extensive misuse of inaccurate and falsified history to promote what I call, for the lack of a better term, social justice narratives. These falsified narratives are utilized by social justice warriors to promote their own agendas. That these narratives are vile trash intended to degrade groups of people does not concern the social justice warrior. Like good communists, it's the party line they care about, not the truth. With only a little effort, much can be accomplished. This week, I will be contacting each of you to solicit your support prior to my soliciting the support of the citizens of Lane County to take action. In other words, in a simple manner, simple way of saying it, we need to have the museum acknowledge its falsity and what the lies it put out there and these attacks on people. And the county has funded this, and action needs to be taken. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your public comment. Ms. Jones, do we have anyone signed up to give comment online this morning?
Sorry, I am unmuting from the wrong device. I will check one moment. I do not have anyone signed up online for public comment, Chair
right.
Trieger.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in Harris Hall who wishes to give comment this morning? Seeing none, we will close public comment and move on to Commissioners' response to public comment or other issues and remonstrance. Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Chair Trieger. I like that. Ms. Morgarski, just a quick question for you. We had a testimony this morning from Mr. Nash regarding a second newspaper for the publication of our legal notices. And I know that we have a board order on our consent calendar today citing a single newspaper, which is the Eugene Register-Guard. Historically, we have had two, and I know there are statutory requirements or it may be code requirements regarding how we do that. Regarding adding a second, my question for you, Ms. Morgarski, which you don't have to answer now, but I see you did confer with the county council a few moments ago maybe about this, because this is a county council item. Adding a second newspaper to that order, is there a process to do that, or can we do that nimbly without a formal process? And if you wish to respond to that at this time, if that's okay, Chair, that's cool with me.
I see Council Pettigrew coming to the table, so maybe she'd like to respond. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Commissioner Farr, for the question. We'd be happy to add an additional publication as a secondary option. In years prior, we did have a secondary option to be left at staff's discretion based on the facts and circumstances of the notice. And so we could certainly modify the order, and that could just be pulled from consent by motion, and we could revise it to include other publications based on board direction.
And Chair Trieger, based on that advice from County Council, I would wish to pull that item, which is item, I believe it's A2, isn't it? No, excuse me, it's B1. Item B1 from the consent calendar for separate consideration, if this is an appropriate time to do so.
Sure. So revisit adjustments to the agenda and consider the agenda adjusted. We'll pull item B1 from the consent calendar and may insert it after consent calendar, and then we can discuss at that time how we want to handle it.
Thank you, Chair Trieger. That's all I have at this time. Thank you very much, Council. Ms. Morgarski.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Seneca.
Ms. Volkert, yeah, when you were speaking, I was wondering about setbacks and stuff, and then you kind of settled that with if there's enough room to park an RV next to it for people to live in, there's probably enough room for some added square footage. So it'd be interesting to look at that and see how that goes. A nice stick-built house is going to hold its value better, and that's better for everybody, including Lane County. Noel Nash, Mr. Nash, sounds like not Sheriff Farr, Commissioner Farr beat me to the punch, but that's great. We all love the Chronicle. John and Heidi out there, I've been looped into a couple of emails with a group that's looking at your property for housing of children, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes, and if we can try and navigate this, and if you're ready to throw your hands up and somebody's ready to take on the project, if the county could work with you guys to make that happen. So we'll be in touch.
Commissioner Buck.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate those who came out to talk today. Specifically, I just wanted to talk about Ms. Corcoran's concerns, knowing that that is a land use issue that could potentially come to the board in a quasi-judicial form. Unfortunately, we're not able to talk about that, if that is the case, until we deliberate at the board level. It's my understanding that we will be hearing something about that this afternoon. So I just want folks to know, if these are land use matters that come to the board in quasi-judicial fashion, it's not that we aren't considering what you have to say, but we are limited in our responses until the matter is before us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, great comments again. Thank you, John. And I agree with Commissioner Senega. There's got to be a path forward, and people are looking at it. And I hear your frustration every week, and I appreciate your persistence. And I guess we could call that, I hate to say that's kind of a good sport thing. You were saying, hey, it's Tuesday, I must be here, and you're taking it in the chin, and you're navigating it. So I just appreciate the fact that your patience and perseverance is, I think, going to get us to a solution. And Ms. Borkergen, I appreciate the fact that you came in and were concerned about people's housing. Obviously, as Commissioner Buck said, this is in a floodway, which has got some restrictions that are a little bit different than anywhere else in the county. And I think there's some issues that we as a board, when we get to that point, can address those things to help that neighborhood, because that's a really great and viable neighborhood that's been there a long time. And there's some things that need to be updated. There's some mobile homes you said that were, need to be abated and moved and expanded and all those things. And I think from a board, I would hope that we could navigate a good solution for everyone to keep people in their homes and to make their homes better. And for Noel, thank you for sharing your history. I had no idea, sir, how important of a journalist you were in your past. And my hat's off to you, and hats off to the Chronicle. You guys do a great job, and you're a great addition to the southern, eastern, and Lane County area. And you need to stick around, sir, and we appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Wishing everyone good health and peace for all of us in 2024. I will just appreciate everyone who came out to speak and echo Commissioner Buck's caution to the board that when we hear land use matters in a quasi-judicial fashion, we not have conversations about those outside of the public meetings that are noticed for that topic. This afternoon, we do have a first reading to set a second reading and public hearing on the item that you spoke on. And I believe you've also emailed, right? And I've forwarded you on to staff. So staff is always your best contact for your questions, your input. That does get funneled back up to us when we hear it in the course of proper deliberation. So very much appreciate you bringing those items to our attention and to working with our staff to make sure your comments get in the public record and you get your questions answered. Thank you so much. We will now move on to the consent calendar. All items listed here, and you can see them online, and all the materials that go with them are considered to be routine items by the Board of County Commissioners, and they are enacted on by a single motion. There is no separate discussion of these items other than the one that we earlier pulled from this consent calendar. If there is discussion desired, that is the way to do that. so that that item can be considered separately. This being the first meeting of the year, our consent calendar is fairly lengthy, but that also is routine. And so with that, I will look for a motion for approval of the consent calendar.
Chair, I'd like to make the motion on behalf of the board that we approve the consent calendar as written.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second, just with the exemption of item B1.
Thank you. It has been moved by Vice Chair Lovall, seconded by Commissioner Buck, that we approve the consent calendar with the removal of item B1. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And now we will take up item B1 with County Council Pettigrew.
Thank you, Chair. I would propose, in line with Commissioner Farr's suggestion for consideration of the Chronicle and possibly other publications, that we bring this back to the next scheduled board meeting. We will want to make sure that the subscribership as well as the publication requirements in ORS are met by any and all of those publications, including any alternatives that you would like our office to consider in the board order. Because the prior order allows for continuation of the prior order, I don't see any problems legally should we need to publish in the interim.
So if I'm understanding, you're suggesting we adopt it as is, and then we can add another, we can come back with an amended order so that we can continue the business of the county with notices?
That is one option. However, I think for simplicity's sake, we'd be happy to bring it back as a standalone item for discussion at a future meeting, and there would be no need to vote on this matter today.
Does that, Ms. Jones, is there any problem with noticing meetings in the interim if we don't adopt at least this one today?
My recommendation for this motion, and obviously I will defer to County Council on this one, is to make the motion to add the Chronicle to the order. And if, so we pass it with the Register Guard and the Chronicle, and if County Council determines that is a valid update, we can just update the order to reflect that, and we'll be done.
Great, thank you.
But in the meantime, we have the Register Guard already approved.
Okay. Then I will look to the board to see if anyone would like to make that motion.
Then, Vice Chair Trigger, help me with the wording of the motion, Council, if you would.
Well, I think we could move to approve the order as drafted in the agenda, Order 24010906, with an amendment allowing for publication in the Chronicle. Is my understanding of this the motion, nature of the motion?
Very good.
Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner. Oh, I'm sorry, not the chair.
I had a question, because my understanding was that your original suggestion is just to move it to the next board meeting and make the adjustments in the meantime. Is there a reason we're not just doing that?
Thank you, Commissioner Buck. I just wanted to be sure that we had a mechanism to notice any public meetings between now, because we're down next week, so it's 2 weeks away. And it sounds like that's...
You did clarify that we don't have any issues with that, right?
Because the order from last year allows for continuation until further action, this isn't strictly required, this particular meeting. That is to say, it does not expire at the start of the year.
So we could just remove this item and then bring it back, add it to agenda team next time, and revise the order rather than doing an amended order.
That is correct.
Great. All right. Then without objection, let's proceed that way. All right. Diana, is that noted for the next agenda setting?
That is noted, Chair Trigger.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Then we are moving right along to item 7A, Public Works. And we have one item with our senior planner, Rachel Serslev, here to introduce it for us. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, this is Rachel Serslev, Staff Planner for Amendments to Lane Code, Chapter 16, 244 and 10.271, and that's the Floodplain Development Code. This is a first reading for ordinance number 2401, also identified as Land Management Division File number 509 PA 23-05424, and this is a code amendment project initiated by the Land Management Division to amend land use code regulating development in the floodplain, specifically the floodway. These amendments were prompted by a board assignment made on October 12, 2021, during the passing of Ordinance 2107, which previously adopted amendments to the floodplain code. On August 15, 2023, a public hearing with the Lane County Planning Commission was held regarding this project. The commission heard public testimony on the proposed amendments and closed the hearing and set deliberations for September 19, 2023. And upon deliberating on the amendments, the commission motioned to forward a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to adopt the proposed amendments with specific revisions. Those revisions have been made and they've been presented to you in the agenda cover memo. And the item before you today is a first reading and a request that the board set a second reading and public hearing for January 23rd, 2024, time certain at 1:30 p.m. At that time, staff will provide a more comprehensive staff report on the project and respond to any applicable public testimony. And that concludes my staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. I will look to the board for a motion, and then we can have any discussion we need at that time.
Yes, sure. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the first reading and set the second reading to the public hearing ordinance 2401 in the matter concerning the term footprint in the floodway as written.
And here, I'm going to ask you, thank you, Vice Chair, I'm going to ask you to reread and state it this way so we get the hearing date and time on the...
All right. We'd like to adjust my motion to say that we move to approve. I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance 2401 and to set the second reading and public hearing for January 23rd, 2024 at 1:30 time certain.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair Lovell, seconded by Commissioner Buck, to approve the first reading of Ordinance 24-01 and set the second reading and public hearing for January 23rd, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. time certain. Is there any discussion to the motion? Call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Surslev. Anything else?
No, that's all. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. Moving on to item 8, Health and Human Services. We have 3 items, and our Health and Human Services Director, Eve Gray, is here to present those for us. Good morning, Director Gray.
Hello, good morning. So I will try to be brief on each of these, but each was worthy of just a little bit of public comment. So the first item is to add positions related to mobile crisis services in Lane County. As I believe all of you are aware, the regulatory requirements on mobile crisis services have changed, and that's good news for our community because it means more people will have access to mobile crisis services in a more timely way. So in order to accomplish that, we continue to work very collaboratively and closely with other mobile crisis providers in our county. There are several, and continue to engage in discussions about which services are best housed in which organization. Today, we are asking for some positions so that Lane County can take a role in this effort.
Thank you so much. Anybody like to ask questions or have a conversation with Director Gray generally, or otherwise I will look for a motion on the first order. Yeah, Commissioner Senega and then Commissioner Farr.
Thanks, Chair. I have a couple of questions. I read in there were, no formal presentation and such, but with this, it sounds like it's a pretty stringent requirement too. Is it 60 minute response time in unincorporated areas? Is that what it was? 60
minutes in the metro areas and 2 hours in rural areas.
And that, I deal with the mobile crisis in Florence every now and then. One of the biggest problems with them is if it's a dangerous situation, obviously they don't want to go in without a deputy's help. How are you going to coordinate that with the Sheriff's Department?
So we are very fortunate that the Sheriff's Office and Western Lane have been extremely collaborative in building a model for how that works in rural areas. And I think that the state is understanding that if it's the middle of the night and there's a call where there's no neighbor within a mile or two, that a lot of folks are not going to feel comfortable as a mobile crisis team going out there independently. So the rule is that we cannot by default assume that law enforcement will co-respond with mobile crisis providers. However, we do have the ability to shift to a co-response model in situations where that is deemed safest for the teams. So the sheriff has been super collaborative, and we will continue to learn from what the group in Florence has been doing. That's Western Lane Fire and EMS, and in collaboration with the sheriff's office.
Excellent. Yeah, it seems like they've set up a good model, but it'll be interesting to see how it works everywhere. Is this like our liability coverage? Is that going to be under the FQHC, or I mean, it seems like there's a lot of liability in taking this on, and I'm just curious how we're covered on that.
Yeah, behavioral health is a part of our federally qualified health center, and our assessment at this point is that FTCA, or federal coverage, would apply as it does with our other programs that are funded through the County Financial Assistance Agreement. Now I can look to County Council to do that secondary analysis for us, just to be sure. But at this point, I have no indication that that would be different from the other programs that we are running.
Thank you, Commissioner Senega. Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Chair Trigger. And, Commissioner Senega kind of covered my questions for the most part, other than to state that we're currently spread pretty thin as far as sheriff's patrol deputies are concerned. We all know that. That's not news. And Mr. Mogryski, we are working this year on addressing that situation, so I think we're moving forward in all fronts. And, mobile crisis response from the top of the Three Sisters, literally, to Cedar Head Lighthouse, literally, is a tall order. So bravo on moving forward with that.
Commissioner Buck.
Thank you. I just want to express how excited I am that this is starting, because we haven't had mobile crisis units even begin in rural areas or outside where we know that Cahoots has been doing their good work. So I'm excited for this. It will, I know, be probably a tentative, slow start, but this has been something that residents have requested for so long. And hopefully we'll still be able to work with all of those good community agencies that still do their good work, but we're also just, as a matter of course, being able to expand that service with this particular motion. So thank you. I think you continue to bring to us ideas that are ahead of the curve. And I'm so glad, and our community will be better for it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Well, I'll echo that appreciation. Thank you for bringing us solutions always. Commissioner Buck sort of made a passing reference to Cahoots and their good work. I don't know if you want to make any further comment regarding that, just because the community is sort of watching that as hopefully a temporary pause for them in services. But if not, I think this just demonstrates how we're here and ready to fill service gaps as quickly and as much as our resources and capacity and partnerships will allow. And I think we probably, I don't want to put words in my colleagues' mouths, but I think we all agree that there's that frustration of the sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? It would be nice to be able to layer these services on top of an existing strong system instead of continually having to plug gaps that seem to just be growing, both with growing need and less resource for other organizations to deliver these services. But it is a wonderful thing to see us adding this kind of capacity at Lane County to respond to the need in the community. Did you want to make any other comment before I call for the vote?
I can certainly speak to Cahoots has had a temporary pause in their paramedic services. That is unrelated to mobile crisis. Mobile crisis remains for them, and I believe that that was a regulatory piece that they are working through with their regulators. So would certainly defer to them on any further comment around the paramedic services. We are meeting with them next on Friday to further discuss mobile crisis, really make sure that we're being collaborative and on the same page around what services each organization is able to provide and how we can all partner best as a community to meet the needs.
Thank you, Director. I think that's exactly the information the community needed and the clarification of the different services and how they're complementary or different. So thank you for that. With that, I'll look for a motion on the first order of our Health and Human Services calendar. Commissioner Buck.
Thank you. I move approval of Order 24-01-09-20 in the matter of adding 5 full-time regular mental health associate positions, 5 regular peer support specialist positions, and 4 regular senior mental health specialist positions in Fund 286 within the Department of Health and Human Services.
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Buck and seconded by Commissioner Senega to approve Order 24-10-09-20 in the matter of adding 5 full-time regular mental health associate positions, etc. I will call for the vote. All those in favor indicate with an aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And moving along to the next Health and Human Services item.
Yes, so this is really speaking to the expansion of a very exciting program that we have started with the City of Eugene in collaboration, and this is a co-response model. So this is getting to Commissioner Senega, your questions on, well, what about when it's not appropriate for mobile crisis to respond on their own? The City of Eugene has accessed funding in order to pair officers in the downtown area of Eugene with members of our FIT team in behavioral health, and they are co-responding during certain kind of high activity hours of the day. So we'll head to a call. We have had calls where there are weapons involved. We've had calls where individuals are engaging in violent behavior. These are the types of calls that's not appropriate for mobile crisis. But it's also not, if someone is in an active psychotic episode, it's not in the best interest to only have law enforcement respond. So to have the ability for them to respond jointly, officers to secure the scene, make sure that everyone's safe, and then our behavioral health provider to immediately come in and engage with the client, identify what's going on. Many of these folks are already engaged in our services, so trying to get that individual back on track. We also then, as soon as the individual, many folks wind up being booked in jail because if there are weapons involved, if there's violence involved, the most appropriate avenue is an arrest at that moment. However, we immediately connect with the individual in the Lane County Jail, try to get them back to connected to services, and work to reduce the incidence of those events occurring with each of these individuals. So we're very excited about this program. It's just in its infancy, but really a nice collaboration between us and the City of Eugene.
Thank you. Sure, right. Commissioner Senega.
Thank you. You know, would it be appropriate if we asked for a check back or a presentation in a couple of months with the sheriff here? I have a couple of questions, but not necessarily appropriate to ask our H&HS director. And just to kind of see how that's going back and forth and some different ideas with that.
Sure, I could certainly invite Chief Skinner for this particular program since it is a City of Eugene program. However, the sheriff also is very engaged with co-response and can speak to how that's working in Western Lane. And also as we are looking at expanding mobile crisis throughout the unincorporated areas of the county, the sheriff will be very involved and would be happy to invite him to speak to those pieces.
Yeah, I guess I should have clarified. I meant kind of on the program in general, how it's working.
Sure.
Great. Perhaps during assignments, you want to make a request that we get a presentation on the co-response program and the intersection of law enforcement and our...
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you. Chair, Commissioner Farr. Old habits die
Thank you,
hard.
Vice Chair. Thank you, Chair. You know, the only thing I'd mention there is that quite often, Chief Skinner and the Blue Patrol officers are involved, but you mentioned that sometimes the avenue is Lane County's jail. And the Lane County Jail is predominantly in response to circuit court. And anything that comes from the Muni Department is really on top of the basic function of the jail. And the jail, the city does provide, as you know, they rent a few beds from us, but those beds are always filled as opposed to the circuit court beds, which are not always filled. So coordination with how things happen at the jail, in the Department of Corrections, is a part of, I think, what what Sheriff Harold would be able to address. They do a good job over there, and Director Gray, you've been on a tour of the jail with me, as a matter of fact, and you see how good of a job they do in balancing it. But the City of Eugene does definitely keep its beds full.
Vice Chair Lovell.
I'd like to make a motion on order 24010921 in the matter of adding one full-time regular mental health specialist position in Fund 286 within the Department of Health and Human Services.
If that's a move to approve, I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Lovell, seconded by Commissioner Buck. And is there discussion to the motion? I will just say I'm excited for an assignment to have this come back and have us hear more from the FIT team, because in my meetings with them and discussion with our state delegation about the need for some new formulations in how our public safety, parole and probation, and mental health intersection work is funded, I've learned a lot about the FIT team, and it's really quite phenomenal what they do. The number of people that need the response of a team like that is relatively small, but the acuity of that need and the impact on the community, it's scary. People with unpredictable behavior are scary. And so it takes sort of up, I think, a larger space in our understanding of what's happening in the community than the numbers really show. And I think every single one of us in this room agrees when we're in crisis, when we're having a hard time, we want to see familiar faces. We want people we trust to show up for us and help us figure out what to do next. And that's what the FIT team is, and that's why it's so important. If you only have a law enforcement response, it's sort of, you don't know who's going to show up. But with these kind of partnerships where our folks on the FIT team are building relationships with those folks who are cycle in and out of crisis, and hopefully those crises get smaller and further apart as they work with our team, it really is a solution and not just a response. So I love the idea that we might be able to bring some of those folks in and hear more about that program, because it's pretty impressive and impactful and important, so thank you. So it has been moved by Vice Chair Lovell, seconded by Commissioner Buck, move approval of Order 24-01-09-21, in the matter of adding one full-time regular mental health specialist position in Fund 286 in our H&HS department. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. And one more for Health and Human Services this morning.
And certainly am happy to discuss any of the 30 contracts that are contained within this order. However, I wanted to call out one in particular, which is a request for us to sign a lease agreement with Peace Health to operate their recently closed urgent care on West 11th. We will not operate as an urgent care that's open to the entire community, but we will operate as a walk-in clinic for the patients who are within the federally qualified health center. It will also be a place where we are accelerating access for new patients. So we've had some great recruiting that has happened. We also have providers who in the most recent contract that was approved have agreed to increase their patient panels, but we can only do that. We can only ramp up so quickly with a single provider. So to have an access point for new patients that's helping us onboard the community into our services faster is another great win for us and a great win in terms of access to medical care in our community. This is a direct response to the loss of an emergency room in Eugene, a recognition that there is a population accessing emergency room services today who can be served safely in an outpatient setting and a walk-in clinic, but we haven't had those services as an FQHC. It takes a long time to get in sometimes. This is a way for us to increase access to our residents, increase the speed at which someone who needs medical care can receive that medical care, to try to divert individuals from the emergency room, and also represents a really nice partnership between us and Peace Health as we collaborate to assure that our community continues to receive care.
Thank you. Seeing no questions for the director, I'll look for a motion.
Actually,
Sorry, my apologies.
Not a question, but This is wonderful that we're working as closely as we possibly can with Peace Health, and I know that they really want to put their best foot forward and make certain that we can provide the services that we historically provide in conjunction with them. But Vice Chair, just a step back, and I forgot to mention this during the last presentation, and pardon me for being out of order a bit, but we have a wonderful Fit Team video that was produced about a year ago that is available online, so anybody who wants to access that, it gives a good 1 year old, but still pretty up to date as far as how the Fit Team operates.
Thank you. Commissioner Buck.
Thank you. I'm very glad that we're able to occupy this particular site. I am saddened that it's not open to the entire public. This is the site that my family would go to in any health emergency, and we've been there plenty. And I know a large amount of our population, especially on the south side, we're going there. But it does, if there's any consolation prize for the Peace Health moving out of there, it is the fact that you're able to recover and still serve a good population in that same site. It's very busy. It's very convenient to Fred Meyer to go and get whatever prescription people need. It was so busy all the time, and people literally had to wait hours at that particular site because it was so busy. And I imagine it will still have quite a few people coming there being served by the county now. So thank you for scrambling pretty much to put that together to make sure that we still have good health care for people on that side of the city. Thank you. And the areas surrounding it.
Thank you. And I would say that the thanks for scrambling goes to Suzanne Roloff, our division manager for the CHC, as well as Lisa Willis, our assistant director and CEO for the FQHC. I just get to be here reporting on the item.
Thank you both.
Commissioner Buck brings up an important point that I'll just ask you. What, if any, plans are in place? Will there be somebody there who's sort of a navigator, or we just give front office folks, ensure they know where to direct people who come in? They see it's a medical facility, they walk in to what they think might be an urgent care, and it's not. If they're not eligible for services there, how will we help folks?
Right. We will redirect individuals to the location of the Peace Health Urgent Care now, which is right across the street from the University District Emergency Room in the physicians building there on Hilliard. So that will be how we manage. Over time, as you know, we are growing, and we're growing really rapidly. At this point, a fear of too rapidly. So we've got to temper the progress a little bit. Part of what prevents us from being an urgent care that is open to everyone in the community is that our insurance contracting relationships are really limited. We take Medicaid, we take traditional Medicare, and our commercial contracts are very, very limited because that's not the population that we are intended to serve as an FQHC. And what that means is that we can't bill for services for everyone in the community. And also the way that we're reimbursed by Medicaid is on a per member per month. So we get one fee to take care of everyone who's in our patient population. We don't bill for every visit. So even a patient who's on Medicaid who's coming in, if they're not part of our service, it's much more difficult for us to bill for them. So I think again, looking future forward, are there opportunities for us to provide more for our community? Yes, and in each of those discernments, really looking at what is our mission and our role as a federally qualified health center, and then where are the places that we want to continue to lean on private providers in the community.
Great, thank you, Director Gray. Looking for a motion.
I'd like to move, I'm sorry? Go ahead.
Oh,
I didn't raise my hand. Go ahead.
Okay. Yep. No, I'm just calling on you.
Getting things all in order here. I'd like to make a motion for Order 24010922 in the matter of approving 3 contracts, 30 amendments, 1 grant, and delegating authority to the county administrator to sign the approved actions.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair Lovell, seconded by Commissioner Buck, that we approve Order 24-10-09-22 in the matter of approving 3 contracts, 30 amendments, 1 grant, and delegating authority to the county administrator to sign the approved actions. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Director Gray.
Thank you.
Moving on our agenda to item 9, County Administration. And we have in front of us 3 items, starting with Homes for Good. And we welcome to the table Jacob Fox, Executive Director of Homes for Good Agency. Good to see you, Jacob. And our Policy Director, Steve Adams. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Trieger, Vice Chair Laval, Commissioners. It's my great pleasure to join our tremendous partner, Jacob Fox, at the table today. Over the last approximately 45 days, Commissioner Buck and I had the real pleasure of participating in an interview process to consider new appointments for the governing board of Homes for Good. Today, Executive Director Fox is here to report out on the results of that process and to queue up legislative action by this board.
Thanks, Steve. Commissioner Trieger, Vice Chair Lovell, Commissioners, it's an honor to be here today. The partnership between Lane County and Homes for Good is as strong as ever, but I think it's worth mentioning the action that you're taking today is an official legal action because the Lane County Board of County Commissioners is the appointing body for the Homes for Good board. So in addition to all the great things we do together in terms of partnership, also a legal connection between our 2 entities. Homes for Good continues to be in service to the community in many different ways. In order to do that, we need a board of strong and intelligent and kind leaders. We do have such a board. And we are getting a lot more interest in community members serving on our board, and that was definitely indicated in the recruitment process. We received over 40 completed applications for one board position. And it's, again, a joint process, so we reviewed all the applications, and then we narrowed it down to 6 applicants. And as Steve mentioned, both Steve and Commissioner Buck served on the interview panel, along with myself and a woman named Jasmine, who basically runs Homes for Good. But anyway, we narrowed it down to Destiny Thompson, who is here today. So, Destiny, thank you so much for being here. What really stood out to me, and sort of as I reflected on it, like if we were recruiting for a $100,000 division director position, Destiny's participation in the process, all the research she did, just really set her aside as the top candidate. So just a little bit about Destiny's background. Again, during the process, she did extensive research on us, asked me a lot of questions about our strategic equity plan, our real estate development, etc. And then she brings a professional background of being in service to people that are experiencing homelessness by working directly for organizations that serve people experiencing homelessness, and that's not something that we have on our board. We obviously have people on our board with experience supporting people experiencing homelessness, but Destiny currently works at community-supported shelters and has worked for other service agencies. So we're just thankful that Destiny's interested in being on our board. The other part of this action today is reappointing Joel Aboa for a 4-year term on our board. So Joel started on our board in July of 2022. He took a short term initially, but he's really shown up at all the meetings. He's met with staff outside of meetings, and he's just been a terrific, dependable board member. So that's the other thing we're asking you to do today, is to reappoint Joel for a 4-year term.
Great. Thank you so much. I will just preface any other conversation at the board for the benefit of our 2 new commissioners. And I think this is really the full circle of what I'm about to mention. The Homes for Good board historically was comprised of the 5 Lane County commissioners and 2 residents of Homes for Good properties. And under Jacob's leadership and the expansion and growth of the organization, it really became clear that we needed different voices on that board, and that the growth of that agency and the growth of the responsibilities of this board, it wasn't so compatible that all 5 commissioners who were elected to be county commissioners weren't necessarily as rooted in the issues that Homes for Good was facing as an organization, the people that are served there as consistently. And so we underwent a significant process to create a new governance model for our housing agency, to expand the number of seats on the board, to continue 2 commissioners represented and being a liaison to that board, but to expand the opportunity to appoint more folks from the community to bring broader perspective, both lived experience, service to people, but also because of the increasing number and complexity of real estate transactions and development that was happening in the organization. So it's really exciting to see this now have worked through sort of its full cycle of process and really start getting into that that rhythm and that calendar of getting your board folks appointed for their full terms. So congratulations, and I would open up to the board for any comment, and if none, then a motion. Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Chair Trieger. And actually, you said a lot of the words that I would have said anyway regarding the changing governance of Homes for Good, formerly HACSA. And Jacob, from your first day on the job as the assistant director, that was one of the first things that you and I talked about was the governance of the board and how the board, as you described, a board of interested, kind members. I don't know that historically it was that until you came on board and you began the changes that really, as Chair Trieger says, we're coming full circle on it right now with the appointment of Destiny and the reappointment of Joel Aboa to the board. And for me, sitting on that board currently as one of 2 commissioners on the board, it really is delightful that we have a board that is so interested, that is so attuned, and is willing to make the extra meetings beyond the regular board meeting each month. So pardon my taking more time, Chair Trieger, but it really is worth talking about the dramatic changes that have happened in Homes for Good / HACSA since you came on board. And I'd be remiss to not mention Ella Kubak, who was been with you every step of the way. So thank you very much. Yes, thank you. I move Order 010923 in the matter of reappointing Joel Aboa to an additional 4-term year term to the Homes for Good Board. Good Board of Commissioners, and the 4-year appointment. I'm trying to do this without these, and that's not very easy. There we go. And the 4-year appointment of Destiny Thompson to the Homes for Good Board of Commissioners.
I'll second.
Been moved by Commissioner Farr, seconded by Commissioner Buck. Approval of Order 24-01-09-23 in the matter of reappointing Joel Aboa to a 4-year term and Destiny Thompson to a 4-year term on the Homes for Good Board of Commissioners. Any discussion to the motion?
Just that before Jacob came, I didn't need to use these.
Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Jacob. Congratulations, Destiny. And thank you, Destiny, as well, for stepping up. Moving on, so our next item of business are 2 orders that go together, but we'll address them separately, and I will ask for Diana Jones, our board, oh, she's already one step ahead, as per usual. This is an annual process in which we look over our list of committees to which we first are liaisons, and then we'll look to the ones to which we are representative. Last year, again, for newer commissioners, this process looked a little different because we had new commissioners. In the intervening years, it's often a fairly simple process, and I'll open it up by just asking us to just review the list, which is in front of you on the screen or on your device as it may be. And I think rather than going through item by item, I'll open up to the board to ask if there's anyone who is currently on a committee that they wish to cede their role, and or a committee that they're not currently on that they would like to have an opportunity to be on. So any changes, I think, would be a more efficient way to go through this item that are being requested of the board. I'll open it up.
I'm just getting in the swing of things.
Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Chair Trigger. You know, the first item on the list is the Community Health Council, which is I am the liaison. Community Health Council is statutory, and the rest of the actual council members are stipended, and they take their role very, very seriously. It's delightful. It really is absolutely an enjoyable evening with that board, and we hear about things that happen inside it. There's a consumer corner, which is the most interesting part of the entire meeting. And Vice Chair Trigger, I believe you were on the board for a while, and I've been on there for on and off for now 11 years. And if anyone else would like to take that delightful role, I would be willing to cede that. Otherwise, I will be pleased to remain as such. But really, once again, it's a wonderful rounding to our work as a Board of County Commissioners. So that is, anyone would like it. That's all.
I think you've been doing an admirable job there representing us, and I don't see anyone. I'm trying to pull this up. I'm having some technical problems with internet connectivity too, so thank you. Are there any other committees folks would like to look at on this list? Seeing none, Diana, do you need a motion? Yes, we do. We have an order in front of us. So I will look for a motion on, why am I having all these problems? On this first round, which are our representatives or our liaisons? Apologies here.
Liaisons.
Thank you. Vice Chair Lovall, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for Order 24040924 in the matter of appointing liaisons to various committees and agencies.
I'll second, just with the technical correction of 24-01.
Oh, what did I say? 2401.
Thank you. It has been moved by Vice Chair Lovall, seconded by Commissioner Buck, that we approve Order 24-01-09-24 in the matter of appointing liaisons to various committees and agencies. Discussion of the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And we will move on to Order 24-01-09-25 in the matter of appointing representatives to various committees and agencies. And I will follow the same process and call on Commissioner Buck.
Thank you, Chair. I actually have one committee that I am going to see if Commissioner Lovell would like to swap a committee with me. It is the Lane Workforce Partnership Board. You did have interest in that last year, and was wondering if you have any interest in swapping that board with Regional Solutions.
Yeah, I'd do that. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Like a great Halloween candy swap.
I'll take
So,
a Thank you.
on the table is, in the multi-jurisdictional committees section, Commissioners Buck and Lovall switching places between Lane Workforce Partnership Board and Regional Solutions. Any other commissioners with any other requests for changes to assignments for the year? Commissioner Buck.
Thank you. This came kind of in a different way to me, but if you'll notice under the LTD Strategic Planning Committee, and Commissioner Seneca has your name on this one, but they reached out that there was a vacancy on the board, and I don't know what happened there, but if you want to be on it, that's fine. I think they're hoping to ensure that would they get somebody. If you don't, I'm happy to take that one up.
Yeah, no, feel free. I didn't, I wasn't a part of that committee, so.
I'll be happy to take up the mantle.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Are there any other requests for changes? Seeing none. So Diana, what I have, if the motion is made, would be for the order to include the exchange between Commissioners Buck and Vice Chair Lovall, the regional solutions for the Lane Workforce Partnership Board, and the replacement of Commissioner Seneca with Commissioner Buck on LTD's Strategic Planning Committee. If there are no other requests for changes, I will look for a motion of the order with those changes.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion for Order 24010925 in the matter of appointing representatives to the various committees and agencies with the aforementioned changes that the chair had mentioned.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair Lovall, seconded by Commissioner Buck. Approval of Order 24010925 in the matter of appointing representatives to various committees and agencies with the changes noted in our conversation. Any discussion of the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Look at us just being efficient and clicking right along. Excellent. The final item of Section 9, County Administration, is announcements from our administrator. Do we have any? Good morning, Mr.
Good morning.
I don't think I've said good morning to you. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, great job, everyone, working through all these items today. And just a couple quick things, and I'll report back on these at the meeting we have in 2 weeks. I wanted to provide for you an update on the Public Safety Funding Task Force appointments. The board, of course, appointed 5 members. You delegated to the administrator to work with our public safety team to appoint up to an additional 6 individuals. We had a great pool of applicants, over 20 individuals that applied for spots there. And so we met several times with the sheriff, district attorney, our Health and Human Service Director, our Community Justice Rehabilitation Services Director, and our PIOs in the Sheriff's Office and County Administration to discuss that. We had 6 that we were ready to go, and then we had 1 individual that had applied that when we contacted them, they said they could no longer serve in that role. So we're adjusting to identify that final appointment. So once we finalize all of that and get confirmations, I'll let you know who those 6 individuals are. We are really excited about the folks that we're appointing. We have a couple people there from Springfield. We have a person from Veneta or outside Fern Ridge area, someone outside of Junction City. We have a Eugene rep, and then we had a Mackenzie River representative, but that's the person that had to pull out because of other commitments, and so we're seeking to identify someone there. So I've tried to reach out and check in with commissioners just on if there are folks that you're familiar with, but the whole group between the sheriff, we really have been seeking consensus and diversity on the panel, diversity in terms of background and experience, and wanted some folks that could represent the sort of youth voice in terms of having experience in the juvenile corrections area, education background, geographic diversity, making sure we have our different communities represented. So we feel really good about all of that. So my goal is to have that all locked down by the next board meeting and let you know who those 6 individuals are. And then the next step is going to be to identify a facilitator. One of the things that I've shared with, I think, all of you is when we did the Parks Funding Task Force a few years ago, we identified Bob Kiefer as a facilitator. Bob, of course, well known and respected in his work at Willamette Lane and here at Lane County as the Parks Manager long ago. And having a really skilled, respected, credible facilitator for the process is almost as important as having a diverse representative group to inform that process. So that's going to be the next step, is to figure out who's that person that we can bring in to help manage all of this work that has the right credibility and experience to do that. The goal I've set is for us to try to get the first meeting of the task force by February, sometime in February. So that's the goal. So we're very close to having all the appointments there. I know that was a concern of commissioners. Are we going to get enough applicants, or who are we going to have? And thankfully, we had a great pool of applicants. So thank all of you for reaching out, and the sheriff and the DA and others who reached out and solicited folks to submit. We actually had a situation where we had so many good people, it was really hard to pick. We had to kind of go, all right, who's going to be sort of the best fit in these situations. So that was a good problem to have. So more to come in 2 weeks on that, but we are just really trying to pace and move forward as quickly as possible.
Commissioner Farr.
Thank you. A question on that, Ms. Morgan. The original announcement on filling those positions was that the positions were open until filled. Yeah. Since they're not filled, does that mean they're still open? So if anybody else wishes to submit an application, this can still do that?
I talked to our PIO this morning, and she indicated that once we had received over 20 applications, we did close that process. There is a question right now of should we reopen for a week to allow for additional folks, or should we consider from the pool that has already been submitted? So I've actually been communicating with the sheriff this morning, haven't had a chance to talk to the DA or the other folks that have been involved in this process. So as we sit right this moment, it isn't open. We don't have it posted for applications online. It's possible that we'll do that. If we do that, then I will let commissioners know. And what I would say is we'd want to only do it for a short period of time, because I think all of us feel like, let's get moving. Let's not sit and linger. So I shared that with the sheriff this morning. It's like, I'm kind of torn because, I don't want to delay the process any further, but we all want to make sure that we get it right. And we have a good process and a good group of folks. So we're trying to strike that balance. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, and to that, and then I'll call on Commissioner Senega, I would just add, it sounds like we not only have a good group, but we also even have a deep enough bench should someone who gets appointed not be able to complete their time. We could go back to even the current pool of applicants we have and find someone to round out the committee. Is that right? Because to me, that would be the advantage of maybe opening up the recruitment, is just really to create the backup pool. But would you say that's accurate?
Yes, I think that's accurate, with the exception that, of course, when people apply for things and then other things come up, and like we had one individual that said, hey, sorry, something else came up, I don't have the time to commit. So, I don't think everyone is going to be available forever, but we do have a list of names it is good to be able to call on those folks. And we will be, once we finalize all of this, we're going to communicate with everyone, those that are appointed and those that are not appointed, particularly those that are not appointed, say thank you, and we'd like to keep you involved and think about other opportunities to contribute to the process going forward. So.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Senega.
Yeah, just real quick, you mentioned one person, but it sounds like it was up in McKenzie. We still have our coast representative, right? From Florence?
Yes, yeah. The five, to my knowledge, the 5 individuals that the commissioners have appointed, there's no change. I haven't heard that there's any change. It was when we identified the 6 people that we were going to appoint, and then we communicated with them that we received one person came back and said, oh gosh, I have another commitment that came up. So we're just trying to figure out that slot, what's right to fill that slot, and then finalize that. Perfect. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Any other announcements?
The only other thing I was going to say is we announced a few meetings ago the Tip Tap Grow partnership, the partnership we're developing with Tip Tap Grow, which is the child care organization that's looking to expand. We have 15 employees have taken advantage so far of signing up for that opportunity. We are aware that there's a licensing issue with the apparently there's a backlog with the state agency that does licensing for childcare. Hopefully that's a good thing from a statewide perspective, that there's a lot of folks that are looking to expand and get into this market because there's a need. And so that is causing a potential of a little bit of delay of their expansion because of that licensing issue. But I'll keep you updated because I know commissioners were supportive of that and interested in how that is all going to develop. That's all.
Great, thank you. We have no need for executive session this morning, so if there's any other business, if not, we are recessed until 1:30 this afternoon. Thank you all.